Hello everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening depending on where you are in this amazing world. My name is Donovan Jolly, and welcome everybody once again for another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys some updated Bitcoin analysis so that we can take a look at the big picture market cycle so that we know exactly when the best time frame for taking profits is going to be. As we get closer towards the end of the year, Bitcoin still hasn't broken an all-time high, and we really need to take the time to pay attention when that time frame is going to be taking place. Because of the fact it's been a little while since we've broken out, does this mean that we're going to actually extend a little bit longer into this cycle? I'm going to be covering all of these thoughts so that we can all stay best informed and make the most profitable decisions as we get closer towards the end of the year. If you're new and just finding this channel, always remember to do me a favor by leaving a like, comment, and subscribing to this channel for more updates. Always remember to click that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos like the one provided for you here. And make sure you guys sign up and join the Discord server of over 21,000 members and growing. Links are provided for you in the description for the people that want to join my community and sign up. On top of that, if you're new and you want extra educational content, mainly just to make better decisions inside the crypto markets, links are also in the description to go ahead and download my free beginner's guide to crypto that I know is going to help you guys out tremendously. So check it out. Links are provided for you in the description. And with all that being said, guys, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, so for today's video, we're going to be diving into the Bitcoin chart. We're going to be taking a look at my 4-year bull that I've actually drawn. This is something I used to analyze a lot back in 2020. Stopped analyzing it as much once the market actually broke out. And so now I think it's an important time to revisit this analysis, because this was one of the forms of analysis that I was using to help dictate the time frames. Now, we're going to go back to the last cycle, and we're going to analyze how these how the 4-year bull stacks up and what the time frames look like. So what we've gone ahead here and done, we've analyzed the cycle top, and we've analyzed the cycle bottom. So the cycle top here came at about the 1st of December, around the end of November timeframes, and then we see our cycle bottom came in here at about mid-January. So we see the cycle top and the cycle bottom happening about a year from each other. A little bit different with this one. But then I've gone ahead here and drawn 2 more lines that are just going to be drawn at the new year. So we can see this one's going to be about the 1st of December. This one's going to be about mid-January. These 2 are going to be at the new year. So the way these cycles work, the first year is going to be the cycle top and the bear correction. The beginning of year 2 strikes the accumulation. Year 3 is pretty much where we start to leave accumulation and actually go into price discovery. So we can see that year 3 to year 4 is where we rally up, and then at the beginning of year 4 is pretty much where we flip the all-time highs and go into price discovery. And then this is what happens into that year 4. This is the beginning of year 4. This is the end of year 4. And year 4 is where we see the parabolic rise, right? And this is generally where we're going to be able to see this pattern play out. And we can see that it's played out pretty closely to the same inside of this most recent cycle. We get the cycle top here, the beginning of year 1. This one came at about mid-December. We get 1 year of correction. The beginning of year 2 is the bear market bottom. And so from year 2 to year 3, we can see we get our first higher high. This is the accumulation. And then from year 3 to year 4 is where we get the end of accumulation and the breakout of those all-time highs. Year 4 is the breakout of the all-time high. And if we draw a line here, it'll look a little bit different in this cycle. The most recent cycle actually saw this one go up a little bit quicker than the last one, but it's roughly the same sort of symmetry here. We can see that both of these was pretty much the flip of the all-time high. Year 4 was when we flipped the all-time highs and went into price discovery. And so we haven't really done anything too different inside of this cycle. And my point for bringing this up is simply just analyzing how similar these 2 cycles really are from each other. I mean, when we analyze the 4-year bull, it follows within the exact same realms of the time frame. We get a 1-year bear market decline. From year 2 to year 3, we get our first higher high. This is the accumulation. From year 3 to the beginning of year 4 is where we flip the all-time highs. And so now we're in year 4. We're almost at the very end of year 4. If we draw a line here, we're going to actually analyze where the end of this year is going to be. And that's going to be about right here. So we really don't have hardly any time left until the end of this cycle. And so I wanted to actually talk about, what are we going to see here? Because what I talked about in my first video analyzing when we're going to be taking profits, talking about the 1st of December being a good time for Bitcoin. Well, what I was talking about during this period, we were actually still all the way down in here. And I said, by the time December rolls around, if Bitcoin hasn't made a new all-time high, or if it's still messing around those all-time highs, and December rolls around, obviously we're not going to want to take profits right then. We're going to want to hold longer, and we should expect to see that the market cycle is going to go up a little bit longer, and it's not going to top right off the bat in December. And that's pretty much what we're seeing up to this point. We've had two impulses. Bitcoin is making higher highs and higher lows. It's looking very bullish, but we've only barely made a new all-time high, and we're actually still within the previous all-time high market structure. And this is right around the time frame of December. And so this pretty much just goes to what I talked about, where if this was the case, if Bitcoin is still around those all-time highs as we get closer towards December, then we would expect to see that this cycle is going to go a little bit longer than initially anticipated. Now, since there's such a short period of time until we get closer towards the end of the year, one of the things that I do want you guys to remember is if we come all the way back and look at 2013, we saw a cycle top here at about the very end of November. And then if we go into the next cycle, we saw a cycle top here at about mid-December. And so it's looking like we got about a 2-week lengthen inside of the next cycle. And so we're at this current cycle today. We can see that we're getting really close towards those end of the year timeframes. It's looking like that's going to be less and less likely for Bitcoin to go all the way up to 250K with just a little over a month left. That's looking unlikely. And so the thing is, guys, I still fully expect my price targets to get hit. I still fully expect a massive bull run to be coming to close out close towards the end of the year. But I don't think it's going to be topping in December. I think it's going to be going a little bit longer than that, just based off the timeframes thus far. And so with that understanding, with us knowing that most likely this one's going to be going into the end of December, I think that it's the best thing to do is restructure our trading plan. Whereas previously what I talked about was if Bitcoin still isn't really in price discovery, it's not making a big parabolic leap, by the time, December rolls around, then we should expect to target end of December being the likely scenario for targeting Bitcoin profits. And so the end of December could be the next point in which we should be looking to target for Bitcoin profits. But like I said, guys, it really hinges upon the price action. The timeframes are a great tool to use, especially looking at years down the line in advance. It's a great metric for understanding where the price could be, understanding when to get in and out. But at the same time, price action is also going to be key here, and we need to pay attention for both of these scenarios. We know that the time frames are going to be a good metric to use. We know that the time frames have behaved very accordingly. And if we look at the cycles, we can see that if we apply the 4-year bull to this, both of these two cycles are following it identically. The only real difference here is that as we're getting closer towards the end of the year, Bitcoin still isn't really in a point where we would be looking at heavy taking profits. Bitcoin's at a point where it's about to be going parabolic. And so I think that it's going to be going a little bit longer, but it's not going to be so far different that we need to warrant, holding midway through 2022 or anything like that. I just think that the next point of taking profits for Bitcoin, it's going to look a little bit better if we actually look to take profits towards the end of December. But once again, we can look at the time frame to guide us. But if the Bitcoin price itself isn't really up a lot, it's not going very parabolic as we get closer towards the end of December, then I'm not going to be looking to take a lot of profits either. The big thing to understand is what we're looking for is a couple different things. We want to see the price action of Bitcoin up. We want to see it trending up significantly, a massive parabolic type of move, something similar to what we saw here in the most recent move before this correction. That's what we're really wanting to see here. We're wanting to see the time frames as well as the price action line up. We're not going to be wanting to take profits on the cycle top if Bitcoin hasn't even made another new all-time high. Why would we be taking profits on our long-term stack if Bitcoin's still below the previous all-time high like it is today? Those are kind of my thoughts here. It's really important that we have multiple forms of analysis to go off of when it comes to actually executing on a plan. With a plan as long as a 4-year cycle, it's important that we have multiple points of data to go off of. Timeframes are one. Timeframes are kind of my biggest point, the focal point of my analysis, because the timeframes have lined up for years and years, and they continue to do so. Now, as we get closer towards the end of the cycle, timeframes are going to be a zone, right? As we get closer towards the end of the cycle, we've seen the timeframes vary anywhere from 1 to 2 months off. And so now that we're closer towards the end of the cycle, now that we're within that 1 to 2 month window, it's the next best thing to analyze is going to be the price action, because the timeframes are showing us, hey, this is the point in the 4-year cycle where we want to be taking profits. The timeframes are already lining up that we need to be looking to take profits soon. So we already have that one form of analysis that's hinting that we need to take profits. Well, we need to know when to take profits. And we already know that we're in that area based off the timeframes that it's good to do so. Well, the next best thing is how do we go about knowing when the cycle top is going to be based off of price action? And this is really where understanding what a cycle top looks like is going to play dividends towards really just the end of how this plays out for you in your portfolio. what we can see based off of what we just saw, we saw this big run up as we broke out of those all-time highs. Now, honestly, this is the same type of stuff that we should expect to see as we get closer towards the end of the year. And so the real question is, when are we going to see that cycle top? Are we going to be extending into January for Bitcoin? Would it be somewhere mid-January for Bitcoin? It's hard to say exactly, but that's why I'm not trying to pay so much attention towards exact price targets or anything like that. The best thing is just going to be analyzing this type of price structure. When we start to see big impulses like this is where we're going to be wanting to take profits. And now this takes us to the next point of the video, where we're going to see the Bitcoin price go up a lot, especially if we see it go all the way up here to 250,000, right? It's going to make even this move look very, very minuscule. And so as we get closer towards the end of this year, as we're expecting to see some type of a move along the lines of this, keep in mind we could have a little bit of a deeper pullback in here. This is kind of what we're all expecting to see, a big blow off top close towards the end of the year. And the time frames are lining up. We know that the time frames are flashing sell signals because this is the way that we've had the plan for a long time. And so now that we know that we're at the point where we should be looking to take profits, the next best thing is analyzing the price action to actually get us to that point. We're not going to be seeing a cycle top if Bitcoin's just barely making higher highs and higher lows and hasn't made a big leap into price discovery. I'm not going to be wanting to take profits right now, and I'm sure that you guys don't want to as well. And so the best thing that we can do is look to hold until we actually go parabolic. And so that's what I'm personally looking for. You know, my whole plan of this entire YouTube channel has been to help you guys get in and out of the market in the best opportunity, not only getting in early, but not only exiting towards the end of the cycle, but then understanding how to get back into the next cycle. I've wanted to keep you guys as best informed as possible. And in my opinion, this is the best way to actually keep you guys informed, is talking about kind of what we see between each cycle, analyzing that first one that we saw back in 2013 approximately. And really, when we take the time to analyze how the time frames looked in the last cycle, it's really easy to tell that we're pretty much following the same time frames. The only difference is the actual price structure itself. If we analyze the first 3 years of the last cycle and then compare that 4-year bull to what we see in today's cycle today, there's really not a difference. There's almost no difference at all. At the beginning of year 4, both cycles flipped their all-time highs. It happened in both cycles. And then in year 4 is where we saw the massive parabolic run, where Bitcoin went from $750 all the way to 20,000. And we're now at that point where, Bitcoin was pretty much at this year 4 at about $32,000. All we've really done is made one high and then a correction throughout this entire year 4 period. We haven't had one more big leap into the 4-year cycle blow off top. And so I still fully expect we're going to get a blow off top. Now we're getting closer towards when are the exact time frames going to be towards that cycle top. At first I pinpointed December. Now that we're at the 1st of December, Bitcoin really isn't at a point where I would want to take profits. I'm going to be saying closer towards January timeframes is what we should be looking for. And we already know that the altcoins like to top a little bit after Bitcoin. So if we're seeing Bitcoin top, at the end of December, sometime, 1st to mid-January, if we're seeing Bitcoin top within that time frame, then we would expect to see altcoins top shortly after that, which would be, a couple weeks after. So if Bitcoin tops mid-January, then the altcoins most likely top the beginning of February. If Bitcoin tops the 1st of December, most likely altcoins are going to be topping somewhere between the mid towards the end of January. And all of these time frames don't all of these time frames, they don't actually cause any, trouble with the 4-year cycle. The 4-year cycle, we've seen how the peaks and the bottoms can be front run. They can go a little bit after. For example, if we come all the way back down here in the last cycle, Bitcoin bottomed here at about mid-January. So if Bitcoin can bottom in a 4-year cycle mid-January, it can definitely top in a 4-year cycle mid-January as well. Same way that it can bottom, the 1st of December. It can also top that early as well. And so now that we're at this point, we have a few different time frames that we need to watch. The time frames really don't matter quite as much because we know that they're going to be pointing towards the cycle top anywhere from about December, the end of November where we're at today, until the end of December. Those historically have been topping points for Bitcoin as well as bottoming points. And so we're inside of that zone where we should expect to see a cycle top. We're inside of that zone. The question is, where does that actually take place? And the way that the market structure looks right now, it's looking like it's going to be closer towards January, in which we see a cycle top for Bitcoin. And so as we get closer towards the end of the year, I'm going to keep you guys updated with this chart, analyzing what we see here. We're getting close and close towards those end of the year timeframes in which we talked about selling. I think it's going to most likely occur for Bitcoin either at the 1st of January or somewhere in the middle point of January for that cycle top. And if the trend continues based off of what we've seen thus far, I mean, this cycle top occurred at the end of November. This cycle top occurred about 2 weeks later at about mid-December. And so if we get a cycle top that occurs 2 weeks after our last one, which was, December, we were expecting to see somewhere around January 1st cycle top for Bitcoin. Altcoins would be somewhere in the middle towards the end of January. So this is kind of what I'm watching for, guys. Not much is changing with my trading plan. I know that I've had a lot of people wondering, because I did talk about taking profits sometime around the 1st of December or mid-December. Well, now we're at this point. Bitcoin's obviously not at a point where I want to take profits. So I wanted to give you guys this update just as a way to say, no, I'm going to keep holding what I have. I think it's better off holding what we have and waiting for price action that we know warrants selling pressure. Like, look at this stuff. Every single impulse that we've had inside of this cycle, this is very obvious, the price action that you want to sell into, where it's going parabolic. There's really small pullbacks, and it's impulsing, right? Or even if we come over here and look at the most recent one from 10K up to 65, this is the type of price action that we want to be selling in. The pullbacks are small. They get bought up every single time. That's the type of PA that we want to sell into. We haven't seen that quite yet. We've seen the early stages of impulsing, but we haven't quite seen a big parabolic leap along the scales of the first two impulses. And so why would we be wanting to take profits on our long-term portfolio, selling all of our crypto, when Bitcoin really isn't even at a point where I would consider this a blow off top? That's the point I'm trying to make with this video. I have no problem of the time frames of the exact end of the year being off. If Bitcoin doesn't hit 250K January 1st, the end of this year, so be it. The big thing is, as long as I'm getting out close to the cycle top, whether I'm getting, even if I'm getting out with a month off, if I'm getting off, $100,000 off 200K, whatever it is, it doesn't matter so much because the price action is what's going to help me towards selling. We know that we have time frames. We know that we have price action to go off of. And so once the price just goes parabolic, it doesn't even have to hit 250K for me to sell everything. I'm going to be averaging out of my positions during this next leg up. So I really don't care what the price is so much. I'm going to be looking to take profits, scale out, average out of my positions as we actually get that parabolic rise. We've seen one every single point up to this time. We know that we're in year 4 of the blow off top. We're also getting closer towards the end of year 4. Historically, this is nothing unheard of. This is something we've seen play out a couple different times. And so because of that, I'm holding true. I think that you guys should too. Obviously follow and do your own research, but I'm personally going to be holding. I still think we're going to get another massive move coming. And so this was just a way to simplify some of my thoughts, give you guys some encouragement to keep going through the cycle. I don't think we're done yet. I think that we're going to get a little bit longer of a cycle, most likely towards the end of December and the beginning of January for Bitcoin. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you found value, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of these amazing videos. If you guys want to join the Discord server, download my free ebook. Links are in the description for that. For the people who'd like to also get access to my VIP, follow all the trades that I take, see what I'm doing with my money in the bear market, all of that fun stuff is also going to be inside the description for you guys to go ahead and join on my website. Thank you guys so much for watching. And with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.